Hey, good morning guys. Today I want to do some houseplant chores that I've been putting off for a while. Starting off with this philodendron silver sword. I've got this one growing on a moss pole and it's kind of reached the top. In fact, this here is the latest leaf. It's busy unfurling. So I do need to get this extended. So I'm just going to fold up one of these thickly grow poles and fill it up with moist sphagnum moss. And then just put the extension on the top. It kind of just clips in here. And then I will take some saran wrap just to push this back up against the pole just until it roots in, and then I'll remove it again. Okay, I've extended the moss pole, and then I did tie this leaf against the moss pole with saran wrap, and that's just to keep the plant from tipping forward. And then once the new leaf has extended, so when the petiole comes out and this leaf extends, I am going to center the plant, well, this stem against the middle of the moss pole with some saran wrap. But I'm happy with the way this one's growing so far. It's really, really beautiful. Next, I want to pot up this Anthurium veitchi. It's the king Anthurium. So this here is its latest leaf, and you can see the texture on the leaves. It's so, so beautiful. So I've had it in this pot since July, and it's not even root bound. You can see some healthy roots through this transparent pot. But the issue I'm having is there's a lot of roots trying to escape the bottom. So this one here I've broken off, and then there's two more trying to poke out there and one back there. I'm going to move this one up from a 4-inch pot all the way into a 7-inch pot. Now I know that's a big jump in pot size, but I believe the king Anthurium loves that, and the quicker you give them a big pot, the quicker the leaf size up. So I'm excited to do that and just to see what the outcome is. This is what the aroid mix looks like that I mixed up. It's very tree fern fiber heavy. And then this just comes out of one of those ready mix orchid bags. It's got the charcoal and the bigger pieces of bark. And then I did put some pumice in as well. This one's getting some great white. And I'm going to try not to disturb the roots. I'm basically going to take it out and pop it right back in. It's got beautiful roots. Just going to do that and then fill in around it. Oh wait, I want to put some Osmocote in as well. There we go. So that one's potted up. I am going to give it some nutrient water, just like flush it out with nutrient water, let it drain, and then I'm just going to pop it back in its spot. Now when it comes to the nutrient solution, for the past half a year, I've been following the online creators blindly. I do agree with the product they recommend, but what I didn't do was test the pH of my own tap water. So what I usually do is just fill up a gallon jug with my reverse osmosis water, and then I fill in 0.5 milliliters of silica, So there you can see 0.5 milliliters per gallon of water. Also, when you add the silica, you need to make this the first addition to the water. So they say there, add the Power SI before any other nutrient or booster to maximize the effectiveness. So I usually fill this up at night and just drop 0.5 milliliters in there. So I've got this tiny little syringe and I just draw up to the 0.5. So it's a really small amount, and then I let that sit overnight. And then in the morning I add 5 milliliters of the CalMag and 5 mils of Super Thrive Foliage Pro. And then I also pop in a tiny little bit of the stress coat to help with the chlorine reduction. So now my own tap water, if I fill this up halfway and add 5 drops of this pH tester, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, oops, there might have been 6, and give that a shake, it kind of brings you where you want to be for alocasias and anthuriums. In fact, most houseplants prefer a slightly acidic soil. They say between 5.5 to 6.5. So this is right around the 6 and the 6.5. You can see the color coding on this bottle. So that's directly out of our tap. In fact, it's changed because last week we were actually on 7. So I don't know if they've just modified the water. That's why it's so important to test. So if I pour this out, in this jug, I have the 0.5 mils of the silica. Let me just rinse this out quickly. So if I take this little pipette and just put 2 in here. So this is the reverse osmosis with the silica that sat overnight. So now I'm going to add the 5 drops again. Wait, one more. Now you can see how the pH has dropped. Like it's actually close to a 4. I would say 4 or 4.5. So I think that's too acidic for the houseplants. Now if I add the CalMag, so I'm just doing 5 mils and then 5 mils of the Super Thrive. And then let's just put the little drop of the stress coat in. I usually just eyeball it. It's the smallest amount. Oops. Okay. Let me just give this a shake. I'm going to pipette some in here. I actually just want to get some in and then just rinse it out. Okay, let's just start fresh. So now this is the water with all the nutrients that I add. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 drops. Now look how red this is. So it's past the 4 on the bottle, which is probably too acidic. And I think this is why a lot of my houseplants get brown marks on their leaves. So now I'm going to increase the pH. I'm just going to put in a little bit. Give that a shake. Okay, so let me taste it now. I did put a little bit of the pH up in. That tiny little bit of pH up has brought the water back to somewhere in the 6s, which is apparently ideal for most houseplants. So yeah, just thought I'd share that. Now, of course, if your water's testing higher, so last week my water was testing at 7, and then today it looks like it's on a 6. So I don't know if that just comes down to when they treat our water, or I don't know. I'm not sure how it works. But if you are testing too high, so if you're too alkaline, you can use this pH down. I got these on Amazon. It comes with pH up, pH down, the tester, and this cute little thing, and it's pretty cheap. I don't think it was more than 12 bucks, and I think this would last for quite a long time. And then another thing I wanted to mention is if you have fungus gnats in your plant soil, the only way I've ever truly gotten rid of them is I use these. This is what my bulbs come in from Color Blends, and it's just a fine mesh bag, and I just pour some mosquito bits in. Now I'm going to take the nutrient water that I just adjusted, and I'm just going to pour that over the mosquito bits. I'm just going to let that sit for 5 minutes. So I'm going to remove this out of the water. I don't like it sitting in there too long. I read online that these are little pieces of corn that they lace with the BT or whatever the active ingredient is. And if you let it sit too long, like overnight or for a day, you end up making corn water. So I don't know how true that is. So I just prefer just to take that out. Once I'm done watering, I'm just going to take this outside and let it sit in the sun and dry. And then I just throw that away and reuse the net. So now that this water's got BT in, I'm actually going to pour that over the anthurium that I just potted up. I'm just going to fill it into this little water bottle. So this is like a twofer now. It's got nutrient water as well as the pest control. There's a blue jay in the bath outside. Oh my gosh. Oh, he's so cute. Anyway, back to the plants. Now, the active ingredient in the mosquito bits will only kill live larvae that's crawling around in the soil. It does not affect the eggs, and it doesn't affect the fungus gnat, so the adult that flies around. So I'm just going to pop a trap in here. It's one of the little yellow sticky traps to catch the adults. Then I'll do the mosquito bit treatment each time I water for maybe 2 weeks, because that gives chance for any eggs in the soil to hatch and for you to kill the larvae as well. So this is a true way of getting rid of fungus gnats. You've just got to put up with this ugly trap for just a month, and then be sure to be consistent with the mosquito bit water, and within 3 weeks your fungus gnat problem will be completely resolved. Next, I'm busy pricking out and potting up the little string of watermelons that I grew from seed. Look how cute these are. Looks like they're going to start trailing any minute. And I'm just going to put them all into this little container. Okay, I'm just going to put these outside. And then I think I'm going to try doing the same thing with the string of tears, because that's currently in full bloom. I think I'm going to see if I can start that from seed as well. So here is the string of tears, and it's got a whole bunch of little blooms. Let me actually bring the pot inside. Oh, so dry. Okay, I just pulled a whole bunch of the spent blooms from the string of tears, and I'm just going to just try and loosen them up over the soil. I did this with the string of watermelons, and I put a lot of seed in, and just a few germinated. So I don't think all the seed is viable, and that's why I'm putting a whole bunch in. And then from the string of watermelons experiment, I did figure out that they prefer to be covered to germinate, because I had covered half of the seed with soil and left the other side so that they could have light to germinate. And most of the germination took part on the side with the soil. So I'm just going to lightly cover this. I'm going to push it down. And then I'm just going to water over the top. Okay, I'm going to place a humidity dome over the top. I should label this. Yeah, let me do that. Okay, well, I'll just have it in the camera. Today is the 29th of September, string of tears. Oops. And then I've closed the holes at the top as well. Okay, so that's done. Then finally, I am going to propagate this Hoya linearis. I haven't had this one for too long, but it's a very scraggly looking plant. So I'm going to chop it back quite hard and then just take a bunch of cuttings that I can fill back into this hanging basket as well as this one. Now this one I've had for quite a number of years. It's got a lot of length on it. And then I brought it in for the sake of this video, and I noticed that every single strand has got a little bloom starting on it. I think these just love to be outside, honestly. This one's also got a tiny bloom starting. And then this one, some of them have two blooms coming. This one, sorry, I'm trying to get it to focus. Now, I've never had this happen before. I've had blooms on this Hoya because I've had this one for about 3 or 4 years. That one, where's the one with the two blooms? I think it's this one. Yes. So this one's got, focus, this one's got a bloom starting there and there. So I can't wait for these blooms to size up, and it's going to be so, so beautiful. So in the meantime, I'm going to prop this one and see if I can make a whole bunch more, because I think this is my favorite Hoya of all of them. Okay, so I did water this pot about 3 days ago, just to make sure that all the strands are nicely hydrated for the cuttings. And I'm just going to clip them quite high up. Everything that looks ugly can come off. I think I'm just going to do that there. See, this one here is starting with a new strand. I think I'm just going to clip that off. This one's also got a new strand there, and this one I'm going to clip. Okay, so this one not looking beautiful. Okay. I'm going to use the same aroid mix I just potted the anthurium, the Vici, up with. And one thing I am going to mix in is some of this great white powder. And just take these big bits out of here. Okay. I might just dunk the ends of the roots into this powder as well. Let me just pop some on the counter. There we go. Now, because the roots come out at these leaf joints, I just dunked the powder there.
Watching me steady, I know, wondering why I'm so hollow. You're showing me all of your best, while I'm giving you what I got left. I got concrete walls, got concrete walls. Hold me tight, don't let go, but I don't think I'm ready for love. No, I've tried to let go, but I don't think I'm ready.
I'm going to put a little bit of water on here. And then I am going to pop the little humidity domes on in a minute.
Tonight I need you.
So this one's got the longer strands in it. Just try and get them in here. There we go. And I am going to close the little vent hole. How many do I have in here? I've got about 1, 2, 3, maybe 10 per cup.
Hold me tight, don't let go, but I don't think I'm ready for love. No, I've tried to let go.
Here we go. So let me just mark this that it's the 29th of September. Okay, so these are done, and I'm just going to go and place them outside under the table while we still have nice warm weather, and then I'll just show you periodically how they're doing, you know, when they start striking roots. Yeah.